Okay, so let's get in there and start configuring. We could just take the shortcut and use v/06 to create our condition type, but I instead am just going to go through the menu path. So I'm putting SPRO in there to get into the IMG, just so you'll see it and see the area we're in. It's in sales and distribution, basic functions, pricing right at the top, and pricing control. So there we've got the main things we'll use for our configuration, and the second one is define condition types. So that's generally where we start. So we already have a pricing procedure that we created and copied. So now we want to create our freight condition type. So we'll go in here, maintain condition types. And like everything, we want to find something to copy from. So let's just position, we'll go to H. And what was that one? The one we were looking at that looked kind of interesting was not HD00, but the value one. That seemed like the closest one. HM00, order value. So let's use that as our starting point. And where is that? HM value. Okay. So we'll select it. We're going to, well, we can double click on it, drill into it, see what the settings are. And here it is, order value. We can see it's a price and not a surcharge. That's why it was taking priority over what came above it. It's a fixed amount, which I think is what we're going to want. And it's also a group condition, which is the key to spreading things out. So this looks fairly close. So I'm going to select the Copy As button. And now I'm going to have to give it a name. And I'm going to call this one, let's call it Zd01. And we're going to call it Freight. And I'm just going to press Enter. And it's going to ask me, well, it's not going to ask me anything until I save it. And then it's going to say, do you want to add this to this dummy transport I've got? I'll say yes. And so now we've got our new condition type called Zd01. And so we want to change a few things in here. First of all, it's not going to be a price for us. It's going to be a discount or surcharge. It's going to be a surcharge. And will be a fixed amount, right? So we're going to have a flat fixed amount. It's not going to vary. It's not going to be a percentage. It's not going to vary by quantity or weight. So we'll go with fixed amount. Condition category, it is a freight, so we can call it a freight condition. I don't think that'll cause us any problems. Really, what that does is just in the repricing of line items, the condition category is the main feature that's used to group conditions and decide what's going to be repriced. So let me show you real quick on that. So if we go over into our item pricing, we'll drill in here. So here are our conditions. So this button update is the repricing, triggers repricing. So if I click on that, it's going to give me a choice and say, okay, what type of repricing do you want? Do you want to reprice everything, which would be carry out new pricing? But you've also got the option to just redetermine freight conditions. So the way that works is because I put a condition category of freight on our Zd01, if I reprice using H, it will get repriced. And so only freight conditions. And there's other ones. There are obviously lots of them, and you can also define your own. And there's various uses for this. A lot of times repricing is done between between the order and the billing document. It can be done at any time between order, delivery, or billing. You can also have scenarios where you run repricing. Some orders may be old and you may want to reprice them at various times. and you know, different scenarios you might want to use that. So okay, so it's a freight condition. We save that. Let's see what else we might need to change in here. It's a group condition. That's what we want. It's a header condition. We do want that. We also want it to be an item condition, which will allow us to create a records for it using an access sequence. Because if it's not an item condition, you can't create records for it. So save that. That looks okay. And the next thing we want to do is add an access sequence to it, because we want to set this $5 up ahead of time, right? We don't want to we don't want somebody to manually have to type in $5 every time. So let's pick one of these bad boys here. It doesn't really matter at first, just for our setup. Let's use this one. I think I created that one before, markup. And if I click on this records for access, it'll just give me a quick little view of maybe what the tables are behind it in terms of condition records. Another thing I can do is just to double check is I can go into v/07 and I can put that access in ZMR1 markup, and I can select it and go to accesses and see what's in there. So a bunch of accesses are in there, a bunch of tables set up, and really at this point I just want to test it to make sure that it's going to work. So that's nice that there's one in there. I can set this up by customer material or sales org just so I can pull it in and see how it's working. So that's fine. We're going to save that. Okay, so we've created our condition type. The next step will be to add it into our pricing procedure.